Welcome back to r/JustNoHOA, where people tell stories about their crazy homeowner associations. And on a quick side note, I would just like to announce that we now have official Ripe Star merch. So in case you want to support me by buying some t-shirts or mugs or hoodies, feel free to do so in the link below. Without wasting any more time, let's dive right into the story. Just found out an employee of mine has an HOA. I work for a medical supply company. About 6 months ago, a new guy, we will call him Joe, started working for me. Now our company does home deliveries of medications and medical supplies for the elderly. During the day, about 10 drivers take our Ford Connect vans and do deliveries, and then they rotate who takes their van home and is on call overnight. So 2 weeks ago, I finally felt comfortable letting Joe be on call for us. He took the van home, did 1 or 2 runs that night, and the next morning he came in and said he could not be on call anymore. As it's part of the job, I told him if he wanted to still work with us, he would have to do this in a regular rotation. Fast forward 2 weeks and I get a call from our local police department. They are over at his house with him and a tow truck and this old lady and her husband. The van had its plates removed and someone has called the tow company to have it removed from the driveway. Luckily, our vans are equipped with security cameras since they contain controlled substances and all. One quick look at that shows this old man taking the plates off of our van. Needless to say, he ended up getting arrested that night, and after some further conversation with Joe, he told me they were the Führer and VP of the HOA. They had told him last time he brought the van home that it was in violation of some code about commercial vehicles, and if he brought it back, they would have issues. He said they also fined him for having different color temperature lights in his house than the 4,300k required, and for allowing his kids to play in their front yard. Long story short, I'm typing this from the BMV since they never did give me the plates back. I hope the old man is still in the Grey Bar Hotel. Wonder how much having a felon in your neighborhood decreases property value. Update number 1. First off, I cannot stress this enough, but Joe's HOA is not really my problem. But given that I got dragged out of bed at 1 AM last night to deal with this crap and spent half of my day dealing with the government getting our van new plates, I figured this guy is going to get it. We are a rather large hospital chain and have a sizable legal department who currently has a light caseload. I sent all the details to them and they are sending Mr. and Mrs. Führer a bill for the plates and 6 hours of billable time at $100 per hour, as well as making sure our local police department and courts follow up with all of the charges against little Hitler. Should be interesting to see the tables turned on someone who loves to fine and mess with people. Even though this was not posted on r/ProRevenge, this is a fantastic revenge story. And guys, I gotta be honest, I would love to have an HOA here in my neighborhood that would fine my neighbor for having around 5 commercial vehicles in a residential neighborhood. But either way, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support me. Thank you very much. HOA sends me a deed restriction notice that is not an actual violation. I got 2 dairy goats 3 weeks ago. When we bought the house, they did not give us the whole 11 pages CCRs. It was a 1-page blurb without any info to find out what the whole thing was. Fast forward 2.5 years. I bought 2 dairy goats, size of large dogs and much quieter. After the first 24 hours of bringing them home, I get a visit from the constables. After some confusion if I called to complain about goats in my backyard, we determined that it was not illegal for me to have goats in my backyard because I live in the county, and if there was an issue, it was an HOA issue and they could not enforce it anyway. The next week comes. When I come home from work, there's a notice to call the SPCA. I call and leave a message. In the meantime, I spend 2 hours online trying to find our complete HOA rules. Next day, the investigator calls, says the complaint is about no water for the goats and eye infections not being treated. First, they had 2 containers of water in case one failed or got dirty. Second, no eye infections at all. But this information told me who called in the complaint, who is my friendly neighbor, because the water container had a hole in it. So I sent the pictures to prove the animals had water and were not sick. So the next week my HOA sent me a letter saying that I was in violation of having livestock, but my HOA actually does not have rules about any animals. I asked them what subsection I violated. I was on hold for 5 to 10 minutes, she comes back on the line.
I'm not able to find it at this moment. Can I get your contact information and I will send it to you?
Me? Okay, give them my information. So I see here I need to contest this at the next board meeting. Please set that up. Secretary.
Oh yes, ma'am. I will have the president contact you.
Well, it has been 6 days, no contract. The next thing she said was,
well, it was not something we observed, but a neighbor complained.
I asked if they bothered to look at the HOA guidelines before sending out the letter. And if not, why am I getting a violation? You know, in the end, HOAs just love sending out letters even if you did not actually violate any of their rules. If you guys live under an HOA, what was the silliest violation they have ever tried to fine you for? Let us know in the comments. HOA has banned guns. I'm bulk buying popcorn for this one. Edit, this got kinda popular, don't really wanna say where I am, but the state does have pretty tight gun control laws already, maybe why the board thought they would get away with this. I'm not really a gun person, I just thought this decision was super effing dumb and worth sharing over how overreaching the HOA want to be. Some residents who are gun people are apparently all over the situation, proper legal response, etc. The letters only turned up yesterday, but I cannot imagine it will take very long for the HOA to back down. I will post an update if I hear anything. In the meantime, I need to catch up on sleep as I've been up about 30 hours now thanks to double pay for overtime shifts. Might use the paycheck to buy a gun. So, after some sort of secret HOA meeting last week, the board has sent letters to everyone in my neighborhood stating that
the possession of assault weapons, concealed firearms, NFA-controlled items and ammunition of military calibers is not permitted within neighborhood under all circumstances and without exception.
It also says,
firearms must not be loaded or discharged in or in the vicinity of neighborhood for any reason whatsoever.
I guess it's open season for home invasion. Gun control is already pretty tight here, so half of it would be a felony anyway. But some residents have already contacted pro-gun groups and a "Don't Tread on Me" flag has gone up outside one house. I cannot wait to see the board's reaction to it. They've been getting steadily more crazy. Thankfully, my lease is up in January, so I'm outta here. I mean, having tight gun control laws is one thing, but completely banning them is, as far as I know, against the Second Amendment, so I doubt that this would be legal in any way whatsoever. What would you guys do if your HOA tries to prevent you from having guns? Let us know in the comments. FHOA. It's almost therapeutic to send them my response letter every year. So 2 years ago I bought a condo. Every summer I guess they do exterior inspections and send you a letter telling you that you have 3 days to fix it. Last year they did not like my hanging lights on my patio nor my hanging hammock. I supposedly was not allowed to hang anything from communal property. I also had to repair the deck boards around my patio and repaint the concrete patio floor. Well, I did not get this letter until a week after the deadline. The day after I got that letter, I found my hammock and lights had all been unscrewed and removed and thrown on the patio floor. They also pulled out a bird's nest that was on the same beam and threw it into the patch of grass, killing the birds. However, they did leave my security camera alone. The camera is placed in such a way you can only see it once you are already on the patio. I have footage of them doing all this in the early hours of the morning. The look of "oh crap" when they realized there was a camera was priceless. I don't think it was actual members of the HOA, probably a couple of the maintenance guys that they contract with. I wrote a letter in response. My points were clear. First, you cannot claim my patio is communal property. I'm sure if I went around sitting on everybody's patio, they would have an issue with it. Also, even if it was communal property, then you cannot require me to put my own finances into repairing it. But the point stands. Many people have hanging flowers or wind chimes. If my lights and hammock are an issue, I expect that those would be as well. And lastly, I have security footage of their workers tampering with my private property. And if they ever come anywhere near my home again without warning or explanation, I will come down on them with legal force, the likes of which they have never seen. Animal control was already reviewing the footage of the bird's nest to see if any animal cruelty had been committed. Sadly, there was not enough to press charges of cruelty. I did not receive any response, but within days a notice went out to the neighborhood that they would be replacing all the first floor patio railing with taller, privacy-style plastic fencing. After they replaced my patio, I put my hammock and lights back up and have not heard anything about it since. This year, not a word about my patio. However, now they have a problem with my front door, which somehow was not an issue last year. My doorbell was loose off the wall. Also, I guess we are supposed to have polished brass front door fixtures and I have brushed nickel. My response? I explained that I did try to tighten the screws of the doorbell, but the drywall had disintegrated around it. Now, according to the bylaws, we can get in trouble for doing any permanent alterations to the hallway. I explained to them I was not comfortable spackling and repairing the drywall, as that would be a permanent alteration, as far as the door fixtures go. I wrote in my letter how 2 years ago I renovated my unit, including getting all new matching fixtures. Polished brass has not been in style for years, which is why I replaced my whole home interior with brushed nickel. Homes with polished brass or mismatched fixtures resell for less. My doorknob extends through the door onto my private property. I told them I was not willing to lower the value of my home for their pointless rule based on outdated aesthetics. I should also note that it's all indoor front doors and I'm the only unit on my floor, so there was nothing mismatching. That was 2 months ago and I have not heard anything back, nor has anyone come and tried to remove my doorknob. I'm starting to love arguing with them. I wonder what they will find next year. What's better than having a pointless argument about a doorknob? Also, I gotta say, I'm kind of disappointed that the HOA in this case did not get in trouble for animal cruelty charges. And I don't know about you guys, but if there was some weird worker coming on my private property and tampering with my stuff, I would totally freak out. And the next story is not exactly concerned with HOAs, but instead with sororities, and after reading this story you will know why sororities are kind of similar to HOAs. The story is titled How One Missent Text Dismantled an Entire Sorority Hierarchy. I was a member of a PHA sorority in college at a large Midwestern university. My group of friends and I were not exactly the sorority type, but we had a really great time hanging out. Sorority life is pretty boring for the most part until my junior year, when the executive board consisted of all the girls that did not like my friends and I. They did not like that we went to towny bars, they did not like that we were a little crunchy, and they thought that we were a bad reflection on the group, whatever. That year I was in more trouble with our sorority e-board than I've ever been in my life. I was fined for wearing a denim jacket to formal chapter under the no denim clothing rule that is meant to prevent girls from wearing jeans. I was fined for missing a chapter meeting to go to the hospital with a friend. They claimed I was not excused because I was not the one who was injured or sick, even though I drove her. I was fined for drinking at formal, later taken back because I was over 21, etc. It became pretty clear they were trying to wear us down and make life so miserable that we would quit. The final straw came during our big charity event for the year. It's an all-night food event where we sell tickets and serve food to people on campus. We held it at the sorority house and all of the girls are required to work a 3-hour shift that evening. I went and did my shift early along with all the e-board girls. The early slot is really sought after because you can still go out and party that night. I did my shift and left to go to do karaoke with my friends. The next day I get an email saying that the e-board wants to see me. They call me in and claim that they are going to fine me because they did not see me working the event and that I skipped out. I tell them that I worked the first shift and that my friend who did sign-ups can confirm that I signed in and worked the event. They claim that they don't trust her because they know we are friends and they think she's covering for me. In fact, they won't take any of my friends' word for it because they think they will lie for me. Then I tell them that I worked the same shift as them and that one of them had to have seen me there. Nope. I'm told that they are going to recommend me for suspension for lying about my philanthropy hours among other issues I have had all semester. At this point I'm pissed off. I'm in my apartment scrolling through Instagram when I see one of the girls in my sorority has posted a photo from the event where I am clearly pictured in the background. Great, I take a screenshot and send it to the president of our chapter to prove that I was there. I get nothing back for a few minutes until suddenly I get a text from our president. I'm expecting an apology, but what I got was so much better. She had screenshotted my texts and sent them back to me by mistake, thinking she was sending them to someone else. In it, she was trashing me to who I can only assume she thought were the other e-board members, calling me a female dog and saying that it did not matter because they would get me suspended for something else. Well, I said nothing and instead took screenshots of those and immediately emailed them to our national office. I included all the bullcrap fines I would be hit with over the semester, the photos proving I was at the event they claimed I did not attend, and the female dog texts that proved they had been targeting me for months. I hear nothing further from our e-board about my looming suspension. Our next chapter meeting rolled around and our president and VP were nowhere to be found. Our national office sent in a few representatives and told everyone they were conducting interviews into some allegations about bullying and targeted harassment. The investigation ended up revealing that our e-board had created a list of undesirables that they had targeted and wanted kicked out or forced to quit. They even had a group chat where they planned out how they were going to get us all kicked out or make us so miserable that we just quit. Shit hit the fan and nearly our entire e-board got kicked out of our sorority. It's interesting to see the similarities between HOAs and these weird sororities. I'm curious guys, in case you also went to university, have you had to deal with a sorority? I gotta be honest, I never got really involved inside my university, I only did my courses and that's pretty much it. I was not interested in any type of university politics, sororities or any of that crap. Feel free to let me know your experiences in the comments. And by the way, what also kind of weirded me out in this story was that the sorority is apparently against women wearing jeans. That sounds like a weird rule from maybe 60 years ago or something. And the last story was posted on our own subreddit by user DomineLogicK. It is titled "Karma Took Its Time but Won in the End." And this story basically fits the church drama / entitled people, entitled parents category and has nothing to do with HOAs, but is definitely worth listening to. Be prepared for a long one. This is beyond entitlement from a host of entitled guilty parties and one of those moments in life so seared into your memory you cannot forget a single excruciating detail. Sit back, it's a doozy, but it's sadly true and a cluster F of
"It's too outrageous"
series of events that you just cannot make this crap up. Disclaimer, I will try to be concise, typing on iPad, made up names yada yada. The cast of this tale drank the LDS Kool-Aid teens, henceforth known as just the boys, the EM, how about we call her Babs, the attorneys for the LDS church, the scumbags, my attorney out of his league, let's say Mike, and me, naturally. The cop, the EMT, and the Supreme Court of the United States, my nuclear revenge / Avenger karma delivery service. Ready? Here we go. It's 1996, I'm not just sitting in traffic with my exit in sight, I'm sitting on the 101 that looks like the biggest used car lot for miles and miles. I could see my exit for about 2 hours by this point, mocking 26-year-old me. A major accident has after work rush hour at a complete halt. I was chatting out of my driver's side window to the cop, also stuck like a sardine in a can traffic. In front of me is an ambulance with a patient inside directly in front of me. Even EMS vehicles cannot get anywhere. It was a hazardous waste spill in the accident up ahead. It's unsafe to let anything move. Needless to say, you could not miss that cars for miles are parked on the freeway so evidently that Stevie Wonder could have seen that clearly. Enter the LDS boys, not paying any attention as they speed down an entrance ramp, gaining speed as you do when entering a freeway. But they were too busy playing with the radio. Wham! I'm hit from behind, shoving me forward, and I not only get pushed into the ambulance, my front end is now so far under the bumper, my rear end is now making its impersonation of an accordion. All glass exploded, this was pre-airbags, my sunroof glass rains down on me, and I'm just, what the F just happened? I have my pick of witnesses, including a cop and an EMT. EMT saw it coming and braced the heart attack patient. He was unharmed. The boys scramble out of their totaled LDS mobile, and I'm still processing when they snap me into complete sober rage as boy number 1 leans into my passenger side window and asks if I'm hurt. Nothing broken, and I'm too pumped with adrenaline to register any pain. Yet. Then he says,
"This must be fate that we meet like this. God gave us this moment. Doesn't God work in such mysterious ways?"
as he's trying to hand me his book of Latter-day Saints. Oh hell no, you are not serious. Cop sees this as he's coming over. I do not see Cop because I'm now seeing red. I stand up out of my shattered sunroof as I'm ripping off my seatbelt. I'm now poking out the top of my car like a deranged female dog in the box, screaming, "Didn't your God give you 2 effing eyeballs in order for you to see you are driving into my car? You could have killed me, you little effing moron." Cop actually barks a laugh before he composes himself and says, "I got this, ma'am. Talk to EMT lady." He then takes the 2 boys Tweedledee and Dumber off to the side out of my earshot as I crawl out of my sunroof to escape my accordion of a car. It's the only way out. EMT lady begins checking me out. I don't know how I survived this at all. Seriously, my car looked like a Looney Tunes Willy Coyote epic Acme fail. I appear physically sound. She cleans and bandages the small cuts and scrapes from exploding glass. Then instructs me that I still must go to the ER later because I will probably feel any pain we cannot see later. Get x-rays, just be safe. Then she offers to take me with that poor patient. There is another ambulance coming up the deserted side of the freeway since traffic is stopped on the other side of hazardous spill too. I should not have declined, but I know ambulances are expensive as F, and my then hubby was a douche nozzle jerk who hated spending a dime on me, and we cannot afford any of this disaster. Let alone buying a new used car. Oh man, he was gonna flip his shit. Pre-cellphone days too, he was probably fuming as I was late. He was abusive, I divorced him later. So I was foobarred 7 ways to Sunday and back. Cop now comes over to me, has me sit in his passenger seat in the air conditioning of his car. It was hot as hell. He did not need too much from me since he saw everything himself. He just got my details, then just chatted with me to keep me occupied. He called tow for my car, said not to worry, he got my purse and just was all around acting like a concerned dad. He gave me a number to a lawyer he knew, told me talk only to him and refer everything accident related to him. When we could move again, he took me home. A few hours later, then hubby was driving me to the ER. The pain in my back had finally hit me. For once, hubby was not a dick about me getting medical care. He was hoping I was gonna get a huge windfall of money. He was envisioning millions in his head. Not anything about me, obviously. I was gonna be his cash cow. Nope. Got medical care, my lower spine was compressed but nothing broken. Got pain pills and a referral to orthopedic surgeon for a proper check on my lower spine and PT. Boring stuff here. Call lawyer, lawyer takes case, and then enter entitled Mom Babs. Her precious Diddy Yums was the driver. Home phone rings. Hello? Out came the
"How dare you get a lawyer? These things happen. God was working miracles."
And unending diatribe of anger saying her son was innocent, it was God's will, etc. Oh my god, take a effing breath, Babs. How did you get my home phone number, lady? If you wanna beg, call my effing lawyer, not me. I yell as I rattle off his number and slam the phone down. Only thing I miss about old landline non-cordless phones, that satisfying jarring bang in the other person's ear when you hang up while furious. Turned out, car belonged to the megalith entity of the LDS Church. They have armies of attorneys, the scumbags. This is not gonna end well for me. Between Babs never ending harassing phone calls at all hours, LDS scumbags calling me and not my lawyer to try and manipulate me, and also calling my
in over his head
lawyer, I got $500. Yep, that's it. I'm not even kidding. I can still see that worthless check in my hand. Mike thankfully charged me nothing. He was livid as much as me at their corrupt legal shenanigans. That's the day that cemented my utter loathing of anything and everything LDS Church related. Sorry Mormons, it ain't you, but your effing church. They screwed me over big time. Over the years I saw how they poured billions into things like California's Prop 8, how they ran the Boy Scouts. Oh, I seethed. All I could do was use my vote and lots of protesting. I felt ineffectual, but I still bought a lot of poster board and markers. 20 some years later, karma finally slaps hard and I rejoice. Thank you, SCOTUS. Hollingsworth versus Perry Blam. The church wasted billions in hate campaigns, homophobic mother effers. Slap 1. Obergefell versus Hodges. Epic 1-2 punch from SCOTUS. You tried LDS Church, pouring billions in anti-gay bull hockey in many states, especially in California's Prop 8. And damn, I just realized that SCOUTUS means Supreme Court of the United States. But anyway, karma saw how you spent more money on lawyers over a young woman who was almost killed by one of your missionary minions. Just because you could. I'm fairly positive I was not the only one. Karma saw the hate and intolerance and she said, enough. Karma just waited until you spent billions trying to F over more people, then struck and struck hard. Now you know how it feels to be F'd over. I savor the delicious backfire you made trying to ban gay marriage. My sister is gay, so it's personal for me and I adore her now legal wife. My back is also still messed up too. By trying to ban gay marriage in one state, you ended up paving the way for it being legal in all states. Oh yes, the irony of that, and your colossal financial losses. I now consider that payment in full for the financial losses and permanent injuries I incurred from you and you inflicted upon me. I know that was TLDR worthy, but that was a 20-year-long tale. Moral of the story, don't screw over people. Karma can enact nuclear revenge on your entitled and corrupt asses. I gotta say, parts of that story could have also been Hollywood worthy. Thank you very much, Domine Logique. I'm sorry for butchering your name. This story was absolutely fascinating. And also, I think you have a real talent when it comes to writing. But as usual guys, unfortunately all good things have to come to an end at some point, so that is where I would like to remind you that in case you are not subscribed yet, I would really appreciate if you could take the 2 seconds to click that little red subscribe button. But of course, even if you don't do that, I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching.